Your multi-venture vision was never just about world building. You've been called to govern realms, the plural form of realm, multiple realms. This is why your vision spans industries, systems, belief systems, communities, etc. It's because you're an emperor. Hi, I'm Naomi Lutayo, the brand priestess, and I guide founders, creatives, and visionaries with multi-venture visions to align their brand universe and ecosystem with the vision that God has given them, and then activate them with the capacity needed to govern their respective industries, culture, and realms. If this video activates you in any kind of way, make sure you head to the description box down below to join my newsletter. That's my private transmission chamber where founders, creatives, powerful leaders, and celebrities receive revelation-based guidance, governance codes, and strategic clarity for their multi-realm visions. This is part 3 of 6 of my 6-part governance archetypal system for multi-venture founder series. You can access all 6 parts in the description below. If you haven't watched part 1 and 2, part 1 being king and part 2 being queen, it will be linked down below as well. This is part 3 and we'll be covering the emperor. So let's get into this archetype. The emperor is the masculine version of a multi-realm owner and ruler. So not just one singular realm with domains within it, it's multiple realms. Emperors don't just dominate one industry, they architect the macro order, standards, and rules that ripple across entire cultural spheres. A king shapes one realm. The emperor shapes the intersections of a plethora of realms. This is why, if you are an emperor, you've always felt too big for one industry. It's because your destiny spills over the lines of each realm. Kings have companies, but emperors have civilizations, interconnected ventures that form an expanding universe. And these are the kinds of founders that I typically work with. That's why I always say multi-venture vision. So, what is the emperor's function? The main things that they do is to create frameworks that other kings use. Emperors create the architectural laws that govern multiple realms at once. Like, for example, Steve Jobs, he didn't just dominate technology. He dominated communication, consumer culture, movies, music. And I'm not talking about he influenced or like he changed the atmosphere or the culture. He changed the paradigm of culture, of the industry, of systems with what he has built. Across several cultural spheres, across several systemic spheres, things changed and they had to rise to the standard that he has set in technology alone. That is empireship. A good example is, actually I'm not gonna use that example because I think it's a little bit too reductive. But either way, emperors set standards for a mass level of things, of industries, of cultural, community-based experiences. And I really want to set the record when I say when they set the standard, I mean that they become the standard and multiple spheres of realms rise to meet them. It is not, you can also be someone who has a lot of influence in one realm but then you can dominate another. It's not that. It is dominance here, and dominance here. Meaning you stand in the middle and all the other realms rise to you, the standard that you have set. Another function of theirs is to influence governments, corporations, and populations. Emperors are the ones who shape the behavior of other rulers, so other kings. Unfortunately, a good example is Elon Musk. He is a forerunner in the space industry. He has completely shifted the automotive industry, the AI industry, renewable energy industry, labor culture, and even, I wouldn't say he's governed in politics, but He has had a lot of influence in there, which is worth mentioning. Even governments have shifted their strategies because of him. He rules several realms, and he is the standard. Elon Musk is the standard for several realms. That is empireship. And again, do you see why the true governors need to wake up? Because we're leaving leadership to people who lack the integrity to properly govern us. Or not us, but the realms. I should also say that governors don't govern people. They govern culture, systems, ideologies, but they don't govern people. I would say parents have the jurisdiction to govern children. Leaders like teachers have the jurisdiction to govern people, but governors, that is not within their jurisdiction. They don't have authority over people. They have authority over what makes people move. That's what I should say. There really is no one above anyone but God. And again, that's why in the first video, I made it very clear that I'm not perpetuating hierarchy at all. I don't play that here. Anyways, another function is them becoming a global symbol of ideology. Emperors have citizens, people who adopt their worldview, people who take on their ideology, who take on their paradigms, their thinking. A kind of sad example is when colonizers went around colonizing everybody. To this day, we carry their last names. We give our children their first names. So much of our culture has shifted collectively across the diaspora. A lot of our culture has been influenced by the white people, right? Unfortunately, that is empireship. So you can imagine that what kind of influence you have when you've been called empireship. You literally change populations. You change the trajectory of governments and corporations. Defining factors that make you an emperor is when you're building an ecosystem rather than a business. So multiple ventures that reinforce each other. It could be a product brand, a media arm, a tech platform, education or community, etc., etc. It's just that your vision includes multitudes of ventures that don't always necessarily seem like they make sense, but they all make sense if you work with me and you watch my videos. It's when another determining factor is when your message becomes a cultural movement. So your ideologies don't stay in one realm. They move over to politics, to education, to pop culture, to spirituality, media, economics. People use it in their language, and yeah, that's empire territory. A good example is, what's his name? Okay, I have a couple. You have Maslow's and his hierarchy of needs. That is not just used in psychology, it is used in marketing, it is used in business, it is used in sales, it is used in a plethora of realms. And then you have, what's that guy's name? Sigmund Freud, Sigmund, or whatever his name. His influence and how we integrate and interact with each other on a psychological level and on an unconscious level at that, his theories, we are living in the vision of his theories, essentially. So things like that. Another sign is when your influences forces corporations and institutions to shift. For example, I always love Rihanna. I love her down. Rihanna and how she brought out all those shade ranges. We haven't gone back to that, really. I mean, even up until today, if you come out with a limited shade range, the companies will be eaten up. They don't have limited shade ranges for long, not at all. And then you have Beyonce and her performance and visual culture. No one doesn't like her. Like, the thing is, she has set the standard so high, people aren't even matching her. She is the standard. She is a standard, for real. And then, of course, Elon Musk. These are all people where they have entire institutions shift, entire people groups shift to accommodate the standard that they have forged. That is empire level rulership. And then the last defining factor is when they become a mythic figure in the public's imagination. Like, they just stop becoming real. They become a symbol A lot of times empires end up being celebrities or politicians for that reason, because of the mass amount of people who know them, right? So they become a symbol. They aren't really known. They're only known by those who know them, which is very small. They become referenced. They become a measurement, a model, a philosophy. They're just a symbol of things, and that nothing more. I mean, it's a lot more, but nothing more. You know what I mean? So that is what it is to be an empire in the archetypes of governance, or emperor in the archetypes of governance. And I will say, being an emperor is rare. There are many people who have the codes to be an emperor, but because they may not have understood who they were, or they may not have had the support they needed to stand firm in who they are, they have given away their power. This happens a lot in Hollywood. A lot of people don't own themselves, and I think that's purposeful. There are a lot of founders who are also emperors. We say that a lot in the conglomerates like Coca-Cola and LVMH. The Olsen twins, I would say that they are emperors and empresses, but we'll get into that in the next video. But yeah, it's very rare. It's very rare for an emperor to be born and succeed in their function, because the world does not make room for those with governance. Because there's already a standard, there's already an ideology, there's already a paradigm that works for those who rule us. And it is of no benefit for them, for people like us to wake up. So that's why it's important for us to wake up now. But anyways, emperors, they've always been set apart. It's undeniable. Every archetype in the system, it's undeniable. It's not something that you have to question if you are or not. It's just something that you know. These videos are only giving you vocabulary to what you've intuitively known and experienced for a long time. This video and all the other ones you watch will only be an aha moment. That's all. You already know who you are. You just don't have the verbiage for it, and that's why I'm here. So that has been part 3 of my 6-part series. We have just discussed what an emperor is, and in our next video, part 4, we'll be discussing the empress. So all the videos will be linked down below in a playlist, and the next video, part 4, will be linked down there specifically as well. Anyways, I thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.